So good afternoon, guys. Welcome to Go Digital Forex Academy. In this video, I'm talking about the part two of using Trendline strategy. And if you have not watched the part one, go down to the channel to watch the part one of the video. Now, quickly, I don't want to take much of our time. Let's go straight into the strategy. So this is the JPP AUD pair, and we are on the weekly time frame. I understand the fact that when we're on the weekly time frame, each of these candles represents 1 week, right? Each of them represents 1 week. Now, for you, where do you want to start your top-down analysis from? You only need three time frames, right? Just three time frames. Your entry time frame, your trend direction time frame, your structure time frame, and your entry time frame. Let me repeat that again. Probably I should just write down your trend direction time frame TF, your direction, your structural direction, and your entry position, right? Sorry, your entry position. So this is what you're looking at. So if you have this time frame structured out, so this is your trend directional time frame, your structural direction time frame, right, and your entry position time frame. So these are the things you want to look out for. Now, if you want to enter your position on a 15-minute time frame, your structural direction can start from your 1 hour time frame, right? And your trend directional time frame can be your daily time frame. Your daily, the 1 hour and 15-minute time frame, or your 4 hours, your 1 hour and 15 minutes or 5 minute entry model. So depending on the entry model you want to use. Now let me quickly correct this thing. Most people like entering on higher time frame, but what qualifies you to trade on a higher time frame is your capital. That is the truth. You don't want to enter a time frame that your capital cannot absorb. If you have a small account like $50 downwards, you don't need to start trading on the 1 hour time frame or the 30-minute time frame. You can still trade on the 15-minute time frame or the 5 minute time frame or the 1 minute time frame. Right? That is the ideal time frame because of your capital size. Just a little pullback in higher time frame can blow your account. Let's say you enter your trade on the 4 hours time frame, right? Just a little pullback can wipe out all your accounts. So you have to be very careful for that. So the best recommended time frame according to your capital uh, size, you have to look into that before you start doing your top down analysis. Now, one of the advantages that top down trendline has is that it gives you support and resistance area. It gives you your take profit area. It gives you your stop loss area. Everything that you need just from a trend line. Now, how do we go about that? Now, we have to first of all determine the overall trend direction. We are starting from the weekly time frame. So, how do we do that? Now, we don't need a whole lot of data for us to start with just the most recent data that's happened. Remember, this is a high time frame. It has a lot of liquidity and a lot of data involved. So you don't need to gather all the previous data that's happened, just the most recent data. Now, moving forward, most people usually question themselves that how do they determine the time frame, the source point for their trend line? How did they start marking their trend line? Which has been a lot of questions that even professional traders have always been trying to fix. Now, this is the solution. This is what you get. Now, for you to start your source point for your trend line, it has to come from a base of your support or your resistance area, right? It must come from a resistance or support area. What do I mean? As you can see, we have a support area here and we have another support area here. So what we'll do is pick up our line, mark this support area right here, mark this other support area right here, depending on the one you want to choose. But remember, this is a higher time frame. Now looking back, you will see that this line has been respected so many times. Respected here, respected. So giving this line a valid one. You can see price broke out, retested, price broke out, retested again. This line is very strong and it is the most recent support line. We can also have this as our most recent support line. You can see right here. We can have this as our most recent support line. So depending, I can see price reacted on this line. You see, price reacted on this line, making it very valid. Now, depending on the capital that you have, that you and the time frame you want to enter your trade, you can choose the time frame you want to use to enter your trade. Now, let's say we want to use this as our entry model, as our um, source point for our trend line on this higher time frame. So we're going to start from here because we are picking it from a support line, right? And you move price forward. Just this, just that. This is what just now we've seen that the overall direction is what is bullish, right? We'll determine the overall direction on this time frame to be bullish. But looking at this, the most recent, okay, let's scale down to a small time frame so we can break things further. So this is the daily time frame now. What can we see on the daily time frame? We'll keep marking up our recent direction. This means each of these candles represents one day. So we don't need a whole lot of data. We need to check the most recent action and price action that has been done in recent time, and which is this direction. As you can see on the daily time frame, we have a retracement. Price has been bearish for a couple of days, right? So you want to use trend line to mark that space. You can decide to pick it from here. Now another question most people ask is that how do I mark my trend lines? Like, is it the wick or the body? The question is, so you can choose to use the wick or use the close of the body of the candlestick. But what holds more value is the body, right? The body of the candle holds the liquidity itself, not the wick. The wick is only showing you where price has gotten to in history times, but does not really hold value, right? What holds value is the body of the candle. Now you can decide to use your wick, or you can decide to use the body. But the one that will give you the most accurate is the close of the candle. As you can see, we have a touch here and two touch and three touch. Now with this, I will explain that what makes a trend line valid is when you have at least two or three touches on the same trend line, it is valid. Two or three touches on the same trend line is valid. It's completely valid. So with this trend line is valid. Now we can convert this into a channel if we like. But now we've seen we have the overall trend from the higher time frame is bullish, but we have a minor retracement, right, of on the daily time frame. Now let's scale down to a smaller time frame. Now before we scale down, okay, let's just scale down so I quickly explain. Now on this 4 hours time frame, this is where we want to mark our area of point of interest, right? Our point of interest, which is the touch point on this trend line. Now, like I said, trend line is going to give you both support and resistance area using trend line. Now, this is what I mean. This touch point that we have is going to serve as our area of interest, right? Now, because we're on a smaller time frame, we can decide to fine tune our trend line, right? You can fine tune our trend line this way. You see, this way is starting from here, but we can fine tune it, put it all the way up here, and check out the touch points as well. If we can fine tune that as well, so we fine tune it as this. Right now, we have fine tuned our trend line. Let's fine tune. Yeah, perfect. So the trend line has been fine tuned. Now we have to adjust the point of interest that we have, which is this. We have all of that touch point. So as you can see, we have automatically drawn our resistance area. Now same thing. Let's keep fine tuning that. 24 hours time frame, remember, so we have that marked out already. Now let's do this. Let me quickly explain this. Now that we're on the 4 hours time frame, we are not just going to leave our trend line this way. Like I said, we are doing top down analysis using trend line. Now this is the last touch point on this trend line. How do you draw the next trend line? How do you draw the continuation trend line? Now don't, you cannot just pick a random point. Remember I said your trend line source point must start from a support area or a resistance area, right? That will be your source point from marking your trend line, right? So here we have the last touch point, and we also have it as a resistance. So this is our last touch point, and this is our most recent resistance on the trend line. So this is where we're going to start our source point for the next trend line that we're going to draw, right? It's going to be the next trend line that we're going to draw. So we'll mark it from here and position it all the way down. Do we get it? So we can fine tune it on a smaller time frame as we proceed. Now let's zoom out. because the trend line was not even touching the body. Now we have it done correctly. Now let's check this. We'll fine tune it, right? Now as you can see, we have fine tuned our trend line perfectly. So, right? So you don't need to be 100% perfect with the trend line. Just make sure that you have those touches. You have the touch here, we have a touch here, we have a touch here, multiple touches. Now, where is our most recent resistance? This point is our most recent resistance on this higher time frame. Now, what are we going to do? We have to check in a smaller time frame. Let's go back to our 1 hour time frame. We have our 1 hour time frame this way. So what are we going to do? What are we looking out for? We are not looking, we are not going to enter our trade on this 1 hour time frame, right? We have done all our best on this higher time frame, but we are not taking our trade on the 1 hour time frame. Now, in this 1 hour time frame, we are still going to look at if there is possibilities of drawing our trend line. If we can have any possibility of drawing trend line on this 4 hours time frame. Now, on this 4 hours time frame, 1 hour time frame, we have the last touch points here, and we have uh, a resistance area as well here. So let's mark this as a resistance area for us. So we're going to mark this as a resistance area as well. So with this, we can try and connect few touch points, right? You can try and connect few touch points from here. We mark it all the way down here, right? As you can see, this has been done. Now with this, we can now convert to a channel, giving us both support and resistance, right? Giving us support and resistance. So we have it this way. This is how to convert it to a channel, right? And we are done with this. We are done. Right? We've converted it to a channel. So we have both support and resistance. As you can see, price moved very cleanly. And now we have a recent breakout. Now, for us to keep on marking our resistance line, we can keep drawing out the touch points, right? We keep on drawing out the touch points here. You can draw this as well. But since we already have a support line, remember from the higher time frame, this has been a support line. You can see price broke through that support line, right, and retest that line and continues dropping. Now, right, so let's go down to 30-minute time frame. On 30-minute time frame, you can see the channel moving strongly, right? Moving very strongly. And you can see we have a clean breakout. Now, when we have a retest to this line, we expect price to what? Push to the uh, support line. That support line that we had before. We expect price to move this way, right? To the support line and fall back to the downside. So that's just it. That's what we are actually looking for. So this is just top down analysis with the trend. Now, if you want to take your entry, you can take your entry on this 30-minute time frame depending on your capital, and you can as well scale down to the 5-minute time frame. Now, let me quickly explain this as well. Let's go down to the 15-minute time frame. So, as you can see, this is the most recent price action, right? So, where's our resistance area? This is a good resistance area. This is a resistance area. Look at this now. Look, picking the support, we've been picking resistance area this way. Now, for the support line, we have this, right? This is a touch point on the trend line. And you can see price came back to what? We test that line. So if you have already done this, expecting price to, some people be expecting price to get here or from here, get to this point and come all the way down here, right? Let me put a path to it. You expect price to move from here, grow to this point right here, and come to this point again and continue in that kind of direction. But if you already have this channel being written down and you've already marked your support and resistance area, you will not fall victim of that. Now look at this cleanly. Price retested this place. We pointed it as our support line, and price came back to respect that same red line before breaking out. Now this is what we expect. Price to touch here and go up. Now if you have to mark another resistance line on this 15-minute time frame, you can have this line, which is very very valid. Why? Because if price continues to go to the upside and breaks this support, this will be our next target, right? This will be our next target for the take profit to be our next target. So we're gonna have something like this, right? We're gonna have something like this from here to this point here. I'm gonna have your 20 pips stop loss, nothing more than that. 20 pips stop loss because we are entering sniper entry using this strategy, something like that. So we have this as our entry model. This will be the next target. Now, if price um, rejects on that zone, where will be our target? Just remember, like I said, trend line gives us both take profit areas and stop loss levels. So if it rejects in this area, we expect price to come all the way here or all the way here because this is a strong resistance. You can start here. These are TP1 and this is going to be the TP1 and this is going to be the TP2 and this is going to be the TP3 as long as you want because we are respecting the entire trend line. And your stop loss can just be 20 pips. So you see, giving us a very good entry model. Now, before you can trade the breakout, because sometimes we have fake out on trend lines, all right? Sometimes we have fake out on trend lines. Now, what we have to look out for is number one, you have to be sure of the breakout if it is valid. Now, we have a strong push of displacement right here. We have displacement right here. So we expect price to fill up that order, right? Fill up that order, take out liquidity in this order before moving to the upside. So what will make this breakout valid is price should not continue into this range. Price should be rejected at the top of this trend line before moving forward, right? That is what we're expecting. This was our last touch point on the trend line. We marked it as our support. Price came back to that same price line before moving forward. So that's how it works. That's just how it works. So if you want to trade the continuation of the trend line, right, we expect price to bounce here, bounce and reject it. So if you check back um, in history, you can see price rejected at this point, right, and came back to what the initial trend line channel that we already have. So this is what we have currently. So and this is what we're gonna work with. Now, if you want to just fine tune yours, right, but this is not necessary because you get confused at the end of the day. So you can fine tune it to have something like this. Now, this has guided you on how you want to take a trade. So you don't expect price. If price continue going downwards and breaks this trend line and enters back into the channel, it means the trade is invalid. We're expecting price to continue. So we're going to trade from here all the way to the downside. Right? We're going to target here. That is if price failed to hold up at the top, we expect price to what continue dipping down to the next target. So this line is our take profit one, and this line will be our take profit two. I can still extend to take more pips here. So this is how you trade. This is how you're gonna trade. If it breaks the what? If it breaks the trend line, they're already drawn, and this is called the safety line, right? It's called the safety line. So with this, if price breaks the safety lines and breaks into the channel, we're going to expect to continue selling from here all the way down to the downside, right? But if price does not break and price respected this trend line, expect price to continue all the way here and take a sell. And as well, you can also take a buy. You can take a buy from here. So we can take a buy from here when price respects it. You can expect to take a buy around here, right? And we target where as I take profit all the way here as I take profit, and we're going to take another sell trade here. So where will our stop loss be using the same trend line? We have a support area here, right? We have a support area here. So this line can also be our stop loss. You can see it can be our stop loss area. Let's go. Yeah, we have this can be our stop loss area. We know that once price invalidates that line, that trend is no longer valid, then we look at the next opportunity that we have. So this is a stop loss. This is a live chart, right? JPP AUD. This is not a signal, but if you want to take advantage of this, no problem. You can watch this video from the start, step by step. Mark out the area I've marked out so that you can replicate this same analysis on your chart, right? So this is how it works. This is top-down analysis using trend line. It's not as difficult as that. So in summary, your source point for your trend line must start from a resistance area or from a support area. Then if you want to continue drawing your trend line, it must continue from the last touch point of that previous higher time frame trend line. So that's how you can connect your trend lines together all the way to your smaller time frame, and you're gonna make money. For me, I would have just entered my trade here or take a retest on that trend line, then we take a buy from here. And once it gets here, because this has been previously tested on higher time frame, it has acted as a support before, it has acted as a resistance before. So it's a strong swap zone or a flip zone, depending on what you want to call it. So we expect price to reject as well, give us a retest on this line, and we take another sell. So that is all for this video. Make sure that you subscribe, you like, and you share this video for others to learn. So this is top down analysis using trend line, and I'll see you in the next video.